India's golden period in international soccer was from 1955 to 1965.
We have 19 problems. Not having talent is not one of them. If every kid who is good is identified at the right time and given the right infrastructure, schooling, teaching, and coaching, we will not be where we are right now.
Hi everybody, the FIFA World Cup is here, but India is nowhere to be found. In 2019, Neeta Ambani made a bold statement to 1.4 billion people.
My dream is to see India qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We have a huge opportunity knocking on our door. Huge.
But now it's 2026 and we've lost to Bangladesh, and our players are recording videos begging the world to save football.
I'm going to speak, appeal and request all of you who did not come, who is not a football fan, please come and watch us.
We are now staring at a permanent paralysis.
Now, most people think Indian football is not growing because of lack of money and government support. While that is to some extent true, that is not the complete story. In fact, in the last 1.5 decades, you would be shocked to know that Reliance pumped in 4,500 crores through FSDL. The clubs themselves paid in 777 crores in just franchise fees. 538 crores came from broadcast money, and Hero shelled out another 160 crores in title sponsorship. So there was absolutely no shortage of money. In fact, you will be proud and stunned to know that once upon a time, Indian football team was an Asian Games champion. We made it to the semi-finals of Olympics, and we were called the Brazil of Asia. In fact, the Brazilian team used to learn from Indian football tactics.
Something that we heard from people, but how glorious the years were then.
Rahim Saab's tactics was something which Brazil popularized in the 58 World Cup, but Rahim Saab had done it in 56 for India.
And it really proved that India was one of the leading team from Asia.
But today, our own players are pleading FIFA to save Indian football. In fact, the Premier League today at least adds 25 to 30 billion pounds to the English economy. So football is an economic issue and not just a social issue for India. And this is where I got curious. When we had so much money, when we have the support from the Ambanis, and when we have the support from the government, and when football can be used as an economic instrument, how did India fall this far behind from being the Brazil of Asia to losing to Bangladesh? How did the UK build a legendary system to build a $1 billion Premier League economy? And what can India steal from the UK to finally make that World Cup dream come real? Before we move on, I would like to thank Neurogum for supporting our content. People today, because of reels, short form content and constant notifications, the average person's attention span has significantly dropped. Some studies suggest that it is now around 47 seconds. And we see the effects of this in real life, blanking out during an important meeting or reading the same paragraph again and again and yet not registering anything. This phenomenon is commonly called brain fog. And data suggests that 1 in every 3 people worldwide is dealing with this issue. Unfortunately, most of us have started normalizing it. So to deal with it, most people rely on coffee or energy drinks throughout the day. But the problem is, while these drinks may give you a temporary energy spike, they actually don't improve focus. Instead, they often lead to jitters, anxiety, and crashes. And when our team researched a proven solution, we found something very interesting. Scientifically, when caffeine is combined with a natural amino acid called L-theanine, it delivers calm and stable focus without anxiety or crashes. This exact science was used by Kent and Ryan, who launched it in the US 10 years ago in the form of gum and mints. That innovation is Neurogum. Each piece contains 40 mg of natural caffeine and 60 mg of L-theanine, which is the optimal combination. Caffeine helps activate your brain, while L-theanine promotes calm, focused energy. An independent MIT study even showed that people using Neurogum reached a high focus state 21% faster. And after massive success in the US, it's finally available in India. So if you're looking for a scientifically backed solution for brain fog, you should definitely give it a try. The link is in the description. Before we deep dive into the present issues of Indian football, let's go back to the very beginning, to a story so unbelievable that most Indians today have absolutely no idea. There was a time when India did not just play football, India ruled football. We weren't just underdogs or just participants. We were the undisputed kings of Asia, and the world realized this on 4th of September 1962 at a football match in Indonesia. This was the final of the Asian Games between South Korea and India. And because of a statement from an Indian official, on that day, 100,000 people were packed into a stadium and 100,000 people wanted India to lose. In fact, the situation got so hostile that a sea of 100,000 people were booing every pass of the Indian players. And when our national anthem was playing, the entire stadium was booing. That was the hell that India walked into. And in that entire ocean of hatred, only a small group stood up and cheered for India. You know who that was? It was the Pakistani hockey team. So India's greatest rival was cheering for India to win the Asian Games. And man, while 100,000 people were booing, the boys simply shut their ears and owned every blade of grass on that pitch. And when that final whistle was blown, it was India that won 2-1 against South Korea. That is how India became the greatest football team in the entire continent. And all of this happened because of a chain-smoking school teacher named Syed Abdul Rahim. He was the coach of India. He was the reason why Brazil took inspiration from Indian tactics.
भारतीय फुटबॉल के स्वर्णिम युग के जनक सैयद अब्दुल रहीम भारतीय फुटबॉल के वो द्रोणाचार्य थे जिन्होंने भारतीय फुटबॉल को विपरीत परिस्थितियों में उन ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचाया जहां आज हम सोच भी नहीं सकते.
But this is where the question arises, if we were so bloody good, how did we get so bad? Well, long story short, Syed Rahim died and all the knowledge and tactics died with him. We had a weak institution, weak federation and no league to take the sport forward. We were so backward that even when India qualified for the 1950 FIFA World Cup, we decided to skip because the federation felt it was unnecessary and too costly. So India had a genius, but India never built a system. But this is where another question arises. Today we have all the money in the world, then why are we still failing? And more importantly, how did UK build a $1 billion spectacle out of the exact same sport? Well, UK and every nation with a serious interest in football follow a pyramid approach that we do not follow. In this pyramid, at the bottom, they have millions of kids playing in schools, streets and villages. Above that, there are local clubs that scout these players. Above that, there are academies that sharpen them, and only right at the very top of the pyramid, they have the shiny professional league that you watch on TV. In every football nation, that is how talent flows from bottom to the top. Now look at how the Premier League actually works underneath the glamour. The Premier League, the richest, most watched league on earth, is just the tip of the pyramid. Below it sits one of the most beautiful machines in sports history, the English football pyramid. This pyramid has 11 levels, over 5,000 clubs and more than 7,000 teams all stacked on top of each other. And all these teams are connected by one magical rule. It's called promotion and relegation. Now here's what this means. In this system, if you finish at the top of your league, you go a level up. If you finish at the bottom, you drop down. And look at these 11 tiers in England. Here at the bottom tier, you could start as a college club and play in your Sunday leagues. Here, the best teams can make anywhere between a few thousand to 50,000 pounds through local sponsors. But as they climb up the ladder, the revenue keeps increasing with tickets, bigger crowds, and eventually television money comes in tier 3. And by the time you reach the Premier League, the teams could make £100 million per season. In fact, in 2014, a team called Luton Town wasn't even a professional club. They played in a tiny ground with tiny crowds and barely any money. But as they started playing well, they started to get promoted. And then promotion after promotion after promotion. In May 2023, this little club finally played the Premier League. They finished 18th with 26 points, but they still made £117 million in broadcast revenue. That is what the staircase does. It doesn't just give a kid a dream, it can turn a near bankrupt small town club into a £100 million business. And that too through merit. In fact, in 2016, a team called Leicester City went from tier 3 to Premier League to even winning the Premier League title.
5,000 to 1 to win the title.
It'll be a huge moment.
They weren't supposed to be competing at the top of the Premier League.
There's a decent pullback as well in the chance.
Nobody expected a club like Leicester City to come from nowhere.
He's done it yet again! And the world is left to wonder, how on earth did that happen? Leicester City are the champions of England.
This is a system of relegation and promotion, and it gives 3 magical superpowers to the sport in the country to turn it into an economic engine. Firstly, it increases the scope for a small team to make millions of dollars. Secondly, it gives rise to insane players at each level because each layer is funded by its own economy and not through charity. And last and most importantly, it promotes the sport at the grassroots level of the country. So starting from a local stadium to a local club to local coaches to even local physios, everyone has a way to make money and climb the tier. And the best part is, while the Premier League contributed £9.8 billion to the economy, the English grassroots football is valued at £15.9 billion in terms of social and economic value. This is the system that the English built. Now look at what India built instead. We have the ISL, which is our shiniest, most expensive league, but the problem is we have no staircase, no promotion and no relegation. We have a closed shop where you could only enter if a big team selects you. So no matter how hard a kid works in a college football team, he cannot make it to the top unless a shiny ISL team picks them. So while India built a penthouse with no staircase, England built a staircase with 11 floors. So now the question is, when there's a straightforward way to build this successful system, when we have all the money in the world, why are we not building this system of relegation and promotion? Well, shockingly, the money actually destroyed our relegation and promotion system. And here's the story. For years, India's real top division was the I-League. It was old, unglamorous, but it was a proper football league with promotion and relegation. So just like in England, a team could earn its way up and fall down. And it was home to genuine giants like Mohun Bagan and East Bengal, which were founded in 1889 and 1920. Now, until this point, Indian football did not grow because we had a money problem. And then in 2014, the money finally arrived. But instead of pouring it into that ladder, India built a rival called the ISL. ISL, as we saw, was a glossy, closed franchise league just like IPL. So they had city franchisees, celebrities and corporate owners. But the problem was that they had no relegation and no promotion in their system. So as a team, instead of earning your place, you had to buy your place. And here's where you will see that the whole system shifts to money. To join the ISL, an I-League club had to pay a franchise fee of around 15 crores. And then they had to surrender control of their name, logo, jersey and even their city. So India's most historic club faced a brutal choice. They could either stay loyal to the I-League and slowly die in the shadows, or pay up and give away their identity. In fact, 3 teams from the I-League made it to the ISL, but now ISL is a league with no relegation and no promotion. And the I-League with the ladder is being played as an old, poor and unglamorous league. And you know what this does? In 2018, a small club called Minerva Punjab won the I-League. They were champions of India.
Absolutely brilliant. Minerva Punjab have won the I-League.
But sadly, their reward was practically nothing. They got no promotion, they got no place among the elite, and they barely got any money. Why? Because the ladder above them had been cut. So you could win the entire league and still go nowhere. That single fact tells you why Indian football stands nowhere. Now the obvious question over here is, why are we not relegating and promoting the ISL teams? In fact, the ISL could be the Premier League of India, and then the I-League could act as tier 2, 3 and 4. This way, we can make ISL tier 1 and build the ladder through the I-League. That way, if the small teams do well, they can play ISL, and if ISL teams play bad, they can go down. Problem solved, right? Well, the AIFF had this choice to merge everything into one clean pyramid, but they got trapped in a franchise trap. As it turns out, those ISL owners had paid crores of their slots on one condition. The condition was that they could never be relegated. Why? Because that protection was the entire deal. Relegation is a financial risk, and they had literally paid to be safe from it. Now, are they wrong? Not at all. Every investor has the right to protect their company. But the problem is, We are now in a deadlock, which means no matter how bad the ISL teams played, they cannot be demoted. At the same time, no matter how well the I-League teams played, they cannot be promoted unless they paid for the slot. That is how we built a broken system with a conflict of interest. This is the reason why the money doesn't flow down and the players with merit cannot climb the ladder, and Indian football has become a zero-sum game of luck instead of a positive-sum game based on merit. And this story teaches us three very important lessons. Lesson number one is the oldest law in economics. Growth comes from competition and freedom to fail. But when a system shields its incumbents from failure, it creates a cartel. Lesson number two, the real economy always comes from the bottom of the pyramid and not from a few elite players at the top. While India poured its money into the elite players at the top, in England's flagship Premier League, the numbers tell you a different story. While the top tier league generates £9.8 billion, the bottom of the pyramid generates £15.9 billion in economic and social value. This tells us that the real economy is built broadly by the millions at the bottom and not by a few elite champions. And lastly, we all need to remember that only systems can give you great outcomes and not a few geniuses. In India, we've had a lot of geniuses, but because we've not built a system, we are not able to get consistently great output. So as a business, you always have to remember that as a founder, you could be a genius, but if you don't build a system that can consistently churn out excellent outcome, your success will always be short-lived. In fact, the moment you quit, your company will fall apart. So, in the context of Indian football, we all need to remember that we have everything. We have the money, people, and talent. All we need is a good system. Because after all, glamour and money cannot build a thriving economy, only a great system can. These are the lessons that we need to learn from the fall of Indian football, and hopefully we'll get back on track. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to the like button and not make YouTube happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.